for a mega rally in Eldoret, promising to fulfill all promises he had made with President Uhuru Kenyatta that he claims was sabotaged by few selfish individuals if elected president in August. Ruto thanked leaders who have stood with him despite what he claims were arrests, intimidations, blackmail and threats, saying arrogance being displayed by few individuals because of billions of shillings they have held in their accounts would be contained after the August elections.
The Eldoret mega meeting was convened to give the deputy president blessings as he kicked off what he said were campaigns proper for his August presidential bid. Leaders who attended the event vowing that their support for the deputy president was unstoppable.
Sisi watu wa Mount Kenya hatupangwi na watu kutoka nje. Sisi wenyewe tumejipanga na William Samoei Ruto.
Sisi huko Turukana tuliamua kwa pamoja kuwa tutakuwa na William Samoei Ruto.
Sisi Wakamba tumesema hatutawachwa nyuma. Lazima tuingie State House tukiwa na William Samoei Ruto.
Mahali tunatoka inaitwa Nyamira. Sisi tumeamua ya kwamba tutasimama kidete na William Samoei Ruto mpaka ifikapo August 9.
Kule Taita Taveta na pwani yote mzima tunasimama na naibu wa rais kwa sababu yeye ni jasiri.
They said they were presenting the deputy president to Kenyans as a candidate who has been tested with a track record in a national party that has a clear agenda for the country.
We are telling Raila Odinga, William Ruto should not be your agenda. Tell the people of Kenya, what is your agenda?
The deputy president, on his part, said UDA will implement all Jubilee's development programs that was sabotaged by few selfish individuals.
It is in the interest of our nation to reduce the cost of living, and the cost of living can only be reduced if we invest in agriculture.
The deputy president thanked his supporters for standing with him despite what he claims were arrests, intimidation, blackmail and threats.
I want to ask every Kenyan, don't vote for the sake of voting. Don't vote because of your tribe. Don't vote because of your religion. Don't vote because of any other consideration. Vote for your interests.
The presence of Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala at the meeting perhaps a pointer that it was only a matter of days before ANC pulls out of One Kenya Alliance.
Mukiona niko hapa, mimi sijakuja hapa kwa sababu yangu, nimekuja hapa kama mwakilishi wa jamii ya Waluya.
Reporting for the Legends edition from Uasin Gishu County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Shock and grief has engulfed Kangui village, Kapsito location in Nakuru County, after a middle-aged man killed his entire family. It is alleged that the 38-year-old man set his house on fire, burning his wife and 3 children to death. Meanwhile, a family in Thika is pleading for justice after their 27-year-old daughter was killed by an alleged jilted lover.
Kangui village, Kapsita location in Elbagon, Molo sub-county.
Tazama Jehova katika hii kikao, pako roho ambazo zimeinuka.
A dark cloud hovers as neighbors, friends and relatives struggle to come to terms with the death of 4 members of the same family. It is alleged that Alice Njeri and her 3 children died after her 38-year-old husband set their house on fire.
Tulipata ripoti kwamba kuna nyumba imechomeka hapa na polisi wakakimbilia hiyo scene na kufika wakapata mzee mwenye ni mshukiwa mkubwa kwa hii janga ambaye alikuwa anapiga nduru na ndiye mzee mwenye mboma, na polisi wakapata nyumba ambayo ilikuwa imejengwa ya mbao imechomeka na hawa watu 4 wamechomeka pale ndani.
The residents are still puzzled by what might have led to the bizarre incident, even as they say that the couple had been having domestic wrangles.
Amekuwa akikunywa kila wakati na kusumbuana. Sasa jioni tukapigiwa simu akaanza kusema ati tukaambiwa ati nyumba imeungua, lakini ni kama alikuwa amewaua already alafu tena akarudi akaichoma.
Mimi Kenya ningeomba Wanaume tukiwachokesa, heri wanatuambia wanatufukuza tunaenda kisalama kwa wazazi wetu kuliko kutuua na watoto.
Elsewhere in Thika, a family is pleading for justice for their 27-year-old daughter, whom they claim was allegedly stabbed to death by her lover. Lucy Njambi is alleged to have been killed by his boyfriend, who had introduced himself as a policeman attached to the DCI unit, only to be discovered to be an imposter.
Kulikuwa mwendo wa saa 3 hivi, tukatafuta gari na Mungu akatusaidia na tukakuja mpaka hospitali ya Thika level 5. Wakati tuliingia huko, tulikuta msichana wangu tayari amekata roho.
Si gari limpiga, si mtu wa huko nje, it's an inside person, mtu mwenye anamjua akaamua kuchukua life yake na kummaliza. It's so painful. We are praying to God if heaven can hear us. Waweze kusaidia serikali waweze kumpata na wamweke ndani.
For Legends Edition, I'm Safin Acheng Oma.
4 schools have been closed indefinitely as tension sweeps through Kisumet area of Baringo County after heavily armed bandits killed 1 person on Friday night. Locals are now fleeing the area for fear of more attacks, urging the government to urgently intervene and restore normalcy.
Kipkenei Kimurio is reported to have been killed at 8 p.m. Friday evening as he was preparing to take his supper when the raiders believed to be from the neighboring community attacked the village. Locals now resorting to arming themselves with bows and arrows to protect their lives, claiming they have been left at the mercy of the bandits.
Sasa tukuve njiani mpaka wakatikani. Naomba serikali watilie maanani na wachukue hiyo maneno mbio mbio, ili tupate hata namna ya kuishi hata siku 2. Pia tena naomba serikali watusaidie askari ili tukae hata siku 3 kwa hapa Kisumet.
Insecurity in the area has led to the closure of several schools, including Kapngetio Primary School, Chepkesin Primary School, Kapturo Primary School, and Chemoe Primary School.
So nataka niomba serikali ya kwamba watie jitihada ya hali ya juu kuona ya kwamba mashule yote yamefunguliwa na wakora waondolewe. Na askari lazima iwekwe katika hiyo laini.
Sasa ukiona hii inaonyesha sasa kuna mtu aliuliwa kwa risasi 3. Unaona hiyo risasi? Unaona hiyo risasi? Kuna mtu bado anauliwa.
The incident has seen locals fleeing their homes, with elders resorting to traditional methods of predicting impending danger by slaughtering a goat.
Kuna mtu ameuliwa na nyoka. Na bado.
Meanwhile, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has condemned the killings in Meru over grazing land conflict, calling on the government to pursue and apprehend the criminals. Muturi says it was unfortunate that innocent Kenyans are losing their lives, yet the government ought to prevent such incidents by providing adequate security. The National Assembly Speaker said such spillage of innocent blood cannot be justified on the basis of pasture, ethnic animosity, incitement, or land dispute, challenging the government to expedite the arrest of the perpetrators and their subsequent arraignment in court.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has assured candidates studying in insecurity-prone areas that the Kenya National Examination Council will consider their plight when marking the national examinations. Magoha says that the government was aware the candidates were learning under difficult conditions. This coming as the government released 16.8 billion shillings to all public schools in the country to ensure their smooth running.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha was at St. Patrick's High School in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County. Professor Magoha taking the opportunity to disclose that the government was aware of the difficult conditions under which learners from insecurity-prone areas were studying, a factor that will be considered by the Kenya National Examinations Council during marking.
I want to assure you that all children will have an exam, and that as far as government is concerned, when we are marking these exams, we shall take into consideration the fact that some of those children have taken those exams under very difficult conditions.
The CS says the government will ensure there is adequate security for learners to undertake their examinations without interference.
All Kenyan children are equal. They will do the same examination, and that the government will ensure that there is peace and that the examination is delivered. Children don't belong to groups. They're just children who are going to school. The exam is not going to identify that this is a Pokot child or this is a Tugen child. It's a Kenyan child who is going to have an exam.
Most schools along the Kerio Valley Belt, which cuts across Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot and Baringo counties, have been affected by banditry activities, which have disrupted education activities, with some closing as a result of insecurity. The CS has further discouraged politicians from extending politics to schools by sending success cards with their images to candidates.
Our children don't have political parties. They are just Kenyan children preparing for exams. If you are sending a success card, let it be a success card which does not have an image. Don't use it to campaign and confuse them.
Meanwhile, the government has released 16.8 billion shillings to all public schools in the country to ensure their smooth running.
Of this, 2.11 billion has gone to primary schools and is in the accounts, and the other 14.7 billion has gone to schools of has gone to the accounts of secondary schools. Let us take cognizance of the fact that this time is very short. I therefore want to plead with the head teachers and principals that no child of Kenyan origin should be sent home at this stage, because they should be having enough money to run the schools.
Nancy Okwari, Legends Edition.
Health services in Wajir County Hospital have been paralyzed for the last 1 month, with medics forced to use flashlights while attending to patients at night due to lack of electricity. Doctors confirmed that 4 babies in the incubators died due to lack of electricity. And as Surfina Cheng reports, the residents are calling for the closure of the medical facility due to its deplorable state.
Wajir County Hospital. All is not well at this medical facility that serves hundreds of residents of Wajir and its environs. A thick darkness covers all the wards in the hospital, with health workers forced to attend to patients using flashlights due to a power outage. According to the area residents, for the last 1 month, health services at the medical facility have been paralyzed, forcing patients to seek other alternatives, which come at an extra cost.
Hakuna mtu anafanya operation, hakuna mtu kusalishwa, hakuna sitima, hakuna popote. Na serikali iko wapi? Sisi tunaulizana kama ni wananchi. Sisi tunaulizana serikali iko wapi?
Outside the hospital, an ambulance that has just brought in a patient who lost her baby at childbirth due to some birth-related complications arrives, but she is forced to seek help elsewhere since the hospital does not have electricity.
We came from Budhea, Wajir South. I brought my niece. She was in labor. She lost a lot of blood and the baby has died.
Doctors confirm that 4 babies in the incubators have died due to lack of electricity.
Healthcare workers have been so consistent in terms of working in conditions that are very deplorable. Yeah? And we will continue serving services in such conditions.
Local leaders are now calling on the government to urgently intervene, failure to which they have demanded an immediate closure of the medical facility.
There is nothing that is going on in the hospital. There is lack of reagents in the lab. There is lack of water in the hospital. There is no electricity. The entire hospital is in shutdown. I'm calling upon the governor and the finance team to close the hospital if they are not financing the hospital.
For Legends Edition, I'm Safin Aching Oma.
Police in Meru County have arrested 16 Ethiopian nationals for being in the country illegally. According to Igembe North Sub-County Police Commander Batin Kantai, the 16 were nabbed in some deserted houses within the outskirts of Mutwati town. Details of this and more stories from our county news roundup.
According to the police, the aliens aged between 18 years and 23 years were arrested following a tip-off from members of the public. Igembe North Sub-County Police Commander Mbatian Kantai said 15 of the aliens are from Ethiopia, while one is from Eritrea. The 16 foreigners are currently held at Kamweline Police Station in Mutwati, awaiting to be taken to Maua Court on Monday.
Hatuna habari kama wamekuwa vaccinated. So kitu ya kwanza, wanahatarisha maisha ya wananchi hapa. Kitu ya pili, hatujui tabia zao. Huenda ikawa hawa ni vijana ambao wanahusika katika mambo ya uhalifu.
And operations across the country's airports could be grounded in the next 1 week after salary talks between the management of the Kenya Airports Authority and Kenya Aviation's Workers Union collapsed. The union has issued a 1-week ultimatum to the KAA management to effect the 13% salary increment.
Whose financial implication would result to less than 200 million annually if they paid, for example, 13%, a maximum of 13% on basic pay.
On the same breath, meeting between truck drivers and multi-agency teams from 2 border partner states ended up in disarray after the drivers refused to resume back to their normal services. The drivers stood their ground and demanded that the penalties slapped on them from both countries over COVID-19 certificates be harmonized, failure to which they will continue with the go slow.
Kwa hivyo sisi tunataka certificate yetu ya Kenya, sababu ni ya East Africa, izidi kuwa valid.
Waweze kukagua gwaride.
Elsewhere, firefighting services in Kiambu County have received a major shot in the arm following the official commissioning of yet another firefighting equipment to be distributed in various parts of the county. 4 other fire engines, among other rapid intervention machinery, will be distributed to Karuri, Limuru, Kikuyu and Thika sub-counties as the county embarks on serious firefighting mechanisms to avert calamities.
Enough flooding right so that our firefighters can actively battle with fire irrespective of the time of the day and night, irrespective of whether iko storage building au iko chini.
Finally, spouses of Kenyan members of parliament have embarked on a program aimed at combating the negative effects of climate change in the country through promotion of environment conservation efforts. National Assembly Lady Spouses Association Vice Chair Salome Atandi said the group was promoting the recycling of charcoal waste as a means of empowering rural communities.
So we are also looking at going back to the good old ways of planting trees and just ensuring that we conserve the environment. We plant fruits, we plant the natural trees.
Ruth Wamboi for Legends Edition.
The coronavirus positivity rate on Saturday dropped to 19.2% from 26.4% on Friday after 1,667 people tested positive for the COVID-19 from 8,703 people tested in the last 24 hours. According to the Ministry of Health, the total confirmed positive cases now stand at 310,797 and cumulative tests conducted so far are 3,094,153. Over the same period, 12 deaths were reported, one of them having occurred in the last 24 hours, while the other 11 are late reports from facility audits. According to data from the Johns Hopkins University, over 303 million COVID-19 infections have been confirmed globally, with over 5.4 million deaths reported. And now we'll take a short break. Our guest tonight on The Living Legends has held the national shot put record since 1987. Former correctional officer and field events coach Elizabeth Olaba is on set with Daniel Wahome. Stay with us.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya falsafa ya maji, bonyeza *811 *965#.
Mwanangu, siku zote maji huteremka bondeni, hayapandi mlima. Na maji hayo yakiteremka hufuata mkondo. Lakini maji hayo yakimwagika hayazoleki. Na ndiyo maana ukiyavulia nguo, maji hayo yaoge. Basi mtazamo wako ndo maisha yako.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya falsafa ya maji, bonyeza *811 *965#. *811 *965#.
The stability of the entire kingdom is in danger.
This is the Hadassah. Forget your name, but never forget you're a Jew.
Because in the will of God, the salvation of an entire people depends on the courage of one woman, Esther.
Welcome back. In our sports news tonight, 1500 meters world champion Timothy Cheruiyot and world under 3,000 meters steeplechase champion Celestine Chespol are among 26 athletes who were selected by Kenya Prison Service to represent them in the National Cross Country Championship slated for the 22nd of this month. The team was unveiled after the end of the Kenya Prison's Inter-Regional Cross Country Championship that was held on Saturday morning in Ruiru, Kiambu County.
Celestine Chespol continued a show of elegance as she emerged victorious in the women's 10-kilometer race. She timed 33 minutes 42.9 seconds, followed by brilliant Jepkorir who clocked 33 minutes 46.9 seconds. Abigail Chilagat finished that in 33 minutes 01.2 seconds.
Celestine Chespol. Number 2 ni guest runner. Number 3 commandant, huyo ndio namba 3 wa chuo kikuu cha Magereza. Pigeni makofi jamani, hatika. Makofi jamani, makofi. Asante sana kuwakilisha chuo kikuu cha Magereza. Hivyo ndivyo mambo yalivyo.
Na pressure bado ni mapema, ni January. Bado tunaenda Diamond League, so sasa mtakiwa down unaweza kuwa sahi shape tambe ifike mwezi wa 6, mwili na sarudi chini, so bado niko na pressure. Kuna upcoming, kuna Beatrice, kuna wengine. Yeah, so si rahisi.
In the men's race, Charles Muneri has successfully retained his title for a fourth consecutive time after clocking 30 minutes 06.5 seconds. He was followed by Boaz Kiprugut and Wilfred Kimiti, who timed 30 minutes 8.5 seconds and 30 minutes 17.7 seconds to finish in the second and third positions respectively.
Amemaliza Boaz Kiprugut atuwakilisha Nyanza, amemaliza nafasi ya pili. Makao
tuko focus na sports, tunaipenda sports. Ni ile hali ya injury ndio inanisumbua, itanipa muda mpaka nikarudisha ile kiwango yangu ya sports.
Meanwhile, world 1500 meters champion Timothy Cheruiyot has said he'll focus on defending his world title this season.
My main focus now is to defend my title in World Championship, and then after I'll go to Commonwealth Games. Yeah.
Attention now shifts to the national trials that will be held on 22nd of this month in Kapseret, Eldoret, Western Tishu County. The national trials will be used to select a school that will represent the country in the World Cross Country Tour that is slated for 12th of next month at the same venue. Reporting for Legends Edition from Kenya Prison Staff Training College in Ruiru, Kiambu County, my name is Frederick Mwoki.
Athletics Kenya has called on county governments to support sportsmen and women by providing adequate sporting facilities to enable federations nurture talent among the youth. The words were echoed by Athletics Kenya Central Region Chairman David Miano during the Central Region Cross Country Championships that were held at Kerugoya Stadium in Eldoret.
Speaking at Kerugoya Stadium during Central Region Cross Country, AK Chairman Central Region David Miano said that the region lacks enough facilities for sportsmen and women.
I want to put a passionate call to county government to at least provide infrastructure as federations work to discover talent and to develop talent like we have done today. We expect the county government to avail facilities. There's no water, for instance. If you look around here, I hear it was there in Mengoreo.
During the region's cross-country championship, Emmanuel Kiprop won the 10-kilometer race for men, followed by Michael Kamua, and the third spot was sealed by David Shungae.
Pesa iko mbaya, nashukuru Mungu kwa ushindi wa leo. Pia kwa mazoezi yenye nilikuwa nimefanya kutokana kwa coach na wenzangu.
Imekuwa mzuri, isipokuwa challenge moja yenye nimeona ni joto kulinganisha na kwenye unafanyia mazoezi.
Rebecca Njeri won the ladies category, followed by Teresia Mudhoni and Mary Nyaruai, who finished in the second and the third positions respectively. Aden Ibrahim, Legends Edition.
The Kenya national hockey teams will leave the country next week for Accra, Ghana, where they will compete in the Africa Cup of Nations, set to be held from the 17th to the 23rd of this month. The continental tournament will also act as a qualifier to the Commonwealth Games to be held in Birmingham from the 28th of July to the 8th of August.
The Kenya national hockey teams have been training in Nairobi in preparations for the Africa Cup of Nations to be held in Ghana from the 17th of this month. The two teams, comprising of about 50 players, are motivated by the fact that they have no injury concerns and have not returned any positive tests for COVID-19.
At this moment, we are praying that all is well. By the time we are flying out, we have all negative PCR tests. That is the only, maybe not to even worry, the only thing that we need, the only hurdle at the moment. Just making sure everyone is safe from COVID to be able to travel and play. But at the moment, the team is fit and it is ready to travel, we have 25 players in camp, all are ready, we are just waiting for the go-ahead.
The two teams intensify their training today, playing friendly matches against the Kenya select teams. The ladies team will face hosts Ghana, Nigeria and Zambia in Pool B of the continental event, while Pool A comprises of South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe and Uganda.
Been training consistently and we've been able to mash up the junior players. At that moment the team was mainly junior players and a few seniors, but now we've brought in more of experience and still we still have the juniors that were there. So now we've really worked hard in the 5 months and we are hoping that we are able to now implement everything we've worked on the pitch, on the game, in the real game. Yeah.
The Kenyan ladies, best known as the Kenyan Blades, will open their hunt for a gold medal against Zambia on the 17th of this month, before playing Ghana a day later and then Nigeria on the 20th of this month. The Kenyan men, pooled in Group A together with the Namibian giant South Africa, will play Namibia in their opening match on the 18th of this month, then face South Africa a day later.
Kakamega Homeboys have opened a 3-point gap at the top of the Kenya Premier League table after they returned to winning ways with a narrow 1-0 win over Kariobangi Sharks. Homeboys, who lost their first match of the season to Talanta by a solitary goal 4 days ago, secured the 3 points through David Okoth's spot kick in the 56th minute. Bandari were held to a goalless draw by Kenya Police, missing out on a chance to move up to second position on the log. The two who created few chances in the match could not be separated at the final whistle. City Stars netted 2 first-half goals and held on for the 3 points despite a second-half consolation goal by Talanta, who sit 5th on the table. Gambia, Mali, Mauritania and Tunisia from the last group of the Africa Cup of Nations tournament, which kicks off tomorrow in Cameroon. The 4 sides are pooled in Group F of the tournament, which will run until the 6th of February. We focus on Group F tonight, 24 hours before kickoff.
The Africa Cup of Nations will begin tomorrow in Cameroon, but the 4 sides in Group F, Gambia, Mali, Mauritania and Tunisia, will have to wait until Wednesday to begin their campaigns. Tunisia will face Mali in the first match of Group F before Mauritania play Gambia in the other match. Tunisia have participated in 3 quadrennial major football competitions. They appeared in the end stages of the 5 FIFA World Cups and 19 Africa Cup of Nations and featured at 4 Olympic football tournaments. Tunisia created history in the 1978 World Cup in Argentina by becoming the first African side to win a World Cup match, beating Mexico 3-1. They also held defending champions West Germany to a goalless draw before being eliminated. They have since qualified for 3 World Cups in succession in 1998, 2002 and 2006, before returning in the last edition held in Russia in 2018. Mali have never qualified for any senior FIFA World Cup finals in history, but have played in the Africa Cup of Nations on 12 occasions. They eliminated Harambee Stars on their way to Cameroon, finishing top of their group that also comprised of Uganda and Rwanda. They were suspended by FIFA on 17th March 2017 due to government interference with the National Football Association and reinstated by FIFA on 29 April. Gambia have never qualified for the World Cup. In 2021, Gambia qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations finals for the first time in history. Mauritania have also not qualified for any FIFA World Cup finals. On 18th November 2018, Mauritania qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time in their history after they won 2-1 against Botswana to seal a spot in the 2019 tournament.
FA Cup holders Leicester City made an impressive start to their defence of the trophy as the much-changed Foxes swept aside a fellow shadow side Watford 4-1. The sides made 16 changes between them, Leicester 9 and Watford 7 from their previous Premier League games, with the majority enforced by injury or Africa Cup of Nations duty. There were wins also for Premier League sides Crystal Palace and Brentford, but Burnley lost to Huddersfield.
Michael Olise inspired a Crystal Palace turnaround to spare Jack Butland's blushes and help the Premier League side avoid an FA Cup shock at Millwall. Former England goalkeeper Butland's howler gifted Benik Afobe the opener as Millwall deservedly led at the break. But lively Olise, an £8 million summer signing from Reading, curled home a wonderful leveller and crossed for Jean-Philippe Mateta to head home Palace's winner. The game was marred, however, by some unsavory scenes off the pitch. Meanwhile, Championship side Huddersfield came from behind to stand Premier League Burnley and reached the FA Cup 4th round. Matty Pearson completed the turnaround for the Terriers with a close-range header 3 minutes from time. Jay Rodriguez had broken the deadlock in the first half with a firm header from Ashley Westwood's cross. The lively Josh Koroma equalized for Huddersfield after half-time before Pearson's late winner.
A community in Dabaso village in Watamu that lives adjacent to the Dabaso Creek ecosystem is reaping big from the conservation efforts of the residents. What started as a community conservation group dubbed Dabaso Creek Conservation Group in 2004 has now turned into a renowned ecotourism center guided by principles of conservation. The initiative, besides being a tourist attraction, is also a source of employment for over 40 people. Surfin Achieng reports.
Early morning in Watamu on the north of the Kenyan coast. A beautiful sunrise as one takes an early morning canoe ride. This sight to behold leads you to the Crab Shack restaurant, a hidden treasure that is frequented by both local and international tourists, courtesy of its unique seafood and mangrove forest experience. According to the manager, Dixon Mizinga, it all started as a project to save the Dabaso Creek, which was slowly turning into a desert due to the massive destruction of the mangroves, a destruction that did not only pose a threat to the region's forest cover, but also led to a steady decline of the fish population, which lacked a proper breeding ground.
Msitu huu ambao unaonekana ulikuwa umeharibika sana. Wenyeji walikuwa wanakata hii miti wakitumia kwa njia ambayo haikuwa mzuri. Ndio sisi tukaja hapa tukajaribu kuongea na jamii zetu ili kuwafundisha jinsi ya kuweza kutumia hii rasilimali vizuri.
Attracted by the community's conservation efforts, other conservationists, together with government agencies such as the Kenya Wildlife Service, Kenya Forestry Research Institute, together with the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, reached out to support the community to not only achieve its conservation goal, but to also make money while at it.
Ya kwanza walitupatia ni ya kufanya ufugaji wa crab farming. Na tukaanza na hiyo. Baada ya muda tukaona wageni wengi wanakuja hapa kuona huu mradi wetu, na kukawa na request ndogo za wale wageni kwamba kwa nini msitengeze mahali ambapo labda watu wakija kwa mafundisho wanaweza kukaa na waenjoy hii scenery. Na kwa sababu tulikuwa bado hatujakuwa vizuri sana, ilikuwa ni ile mchango kidogo ya wanachama, tukajenga kibanda kidogo tu kule mwisho. Wageni walianza kukuja kwa wingi, kile kibanda kikawa ni kidogo, ikabidi sasa tuanze kutafuta funding, tusaidiwe na mashirika, na ndio tukajenga huu mkahawa. Kufikia sasa ni mkahawa ambao unaweza kuingiza zaidi ya wageni 100.
Since it was started in 2004, the project has boosted the region's economy and also offered employment to over 40 people.
Ni mradi ambao umesaidia watu wengi sana. Kufikia sasa tumeweza kuajiri zaidi ya watu 40 hapa, ambao isingekuwa ni huu mradi hatujui kufikia sasa wangekuwa hawa watu wako wapi. Wangekuwa labda wamerudi kuharibu mikoko, wamerudi labda kutumia uvuvi mbaya wa samaki, lakini saa hii wanapata riziki yao kutoka kwa mradi huu.
It has also caught the attention of both local and international tourists.
This is my second time coming here. Apparently I really love crab. So I'm back here to have more crab. And I recommend anyone to come here.
Discovering Kenya has been the most amazing part of it. Really, the whole coastline I think is very undiscovered. The ocean is beautiful, the sea life is so alive, and especially the mangroves here in Watamu are so alive and beautiful. We did a mangrove flow this morning with the new moon, floating our bodies out into the sea through the deep mangrove. It was really incredible and special.
Kuna some of activities like doing canoe ridings under the channel. Na pia wanaona mambo mengi zaidi. Tuseme pia wanasoma mambo mengi.
Mwingine kiingia hapa ndani huwa anaenjoy. Mwanzo anaenjoy pale mahali ambapo anakula, kwa sababu tuko na hiyo breeze nzuri kutoka kwa mangrove. Yani tunasema wana breathe ile air safi kabisa kwa sababu ya hizo miti. Alafu kitu nyingine inafanya wanafurahi ni kwamba wanakula chakula wakiwa wamekaa juu, chini ni maji. Sasa hiyo pia inawavutia pia kukuja kwa wingi. alafu na chakula yetu pia hapa Crab Shack iko very delicious, yani inapikwa kipekee.
The community is now sourcing funds to build accommodation facilities for guests, even as it seeks to expand its horizon in ecotourism. For Legends Edition, I'm Safin Acheng Oma.
It's time for a short break, and we'll be back with the Living Legends segment. Stay with us.
I'm a happily married man, my friend. Aren't we all?
Gotten used to seeing him so much on TV, I hardly ever get surprised anymore.
I've been waiting for that call. It's rude to keep a lady waiting.
You and Miss Makeup over there have been getting a bit too hands-on.
Don't hate the player. Hate the game.
He is my husband, okay?
He is getting out of control. And he's going to get you down with him.
You can't leave me. I love you.
Welcome to the Living Legend segment. My name is Daniel Wahome. In this edition, we'll be speaking to one athlete who has represented the country in different sports as far as athletics is concerned. She has been a discus thrower, she has been a shot putter, and she also has been in the combined event that is the heptathlon. 7 events at the Commonwealth Games. To this day, she still holds the national record in the shot put, 15 meters, 83 centimeters, and that was set at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, in August of 1987. That was during the 4th All-Africa Games that Kenya hosted. On the Living Legends tonight, we speak with athletics coach Elizabeth Olaba. Elizabeth, it's a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you.
And welcome to KBC once again.
Thank you, Wahome.
You know, you like that corner because I think the 2 times we've been with you in this studio around athletics and the Olympic Games, it's that same corner that you take.
For sure.
All right. So straight into this conversation.
Yes.
Tell us about your early life, of where you were born, where you grew up, and how you got into sport.
Okay. I was born in Kisumu, in I don't know, in town, actually, in an estate called Manyata. That is where I was born. I'm from a family of 8. I was the 4th born. And then my schooling was at Kibuye. That is Kibuye Missionary, in a Catholic school, up to when I did my KCPE.
It was the CPE then?
KCPE.
KCPE?
Yes, before
the standard 8?
Yes. Then I joined a Muslim secondary school, just in the neighborhood. And then from there, I think I stayed out for only some months before I got enlisted into the Kenya Prison Service. That was 1973. Yeah.
During that time, when you were in primary school, before you did your KPA and later as you did your secondary school education, what was your involvement in sport?
Yeah, Kibuye had some missionaries, and there was a missionary called Father John. Father John was interested in sports. So every afternoon when we have the what you call sports session, maybe before we break for home, he would come to the field and watch us play. By that time I was running the 400 meters, doing the long jump, Yes, but I was not so much, interested, because being a youth, I feared the elders so much. So whenever I beat them, I would run to the toilet and hide myself.
So, and if you were to mention about but at that point, if I was to mention, is that that's a point that Rose Tata Moya was coming up, and she was shocking the entire country. She was, I think, 13 years old when shocking the country in the 400-meter hurdles. And also we had the petticoat princess then, the Red Jebichi, who was also in the 800 meters, also a youngster. What was different then?
Yeah, it was different because, Tata and the likes of Chebichi, they are brought up from the Rift Valley. And sports there is like a major, subject to them. So for me, being, a young Luo girl, who is, when I was in Standard 4. Being in Standard 4 and I'm competing with the Standard 8s, those ones are big girls. Yeah. And those times, for somebody to be in Standard 1, you are something like 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. So I was fearing that they would beat me. I just go and run. After that, I would run to the toilet. Sometimes they would come to fetch me from the toilet to come and run.
So, because they saw your talent?
So, because they saw my talent, that father was always there in the evening for us, especially for me. Yeah.
The opportunities that were there for you before joining the prison service, which opportunities were there after secondary school?
After secondary schools, at secondary school, Muslim was an Asian school. There was not much. So we would only go for sports when it is the season, but after that there was no evening, sports activities. So there were not much activities for me. There were nothing at all.
Joining the prison service in 1973, at that point, in terms of the caliber of sports people who were there, I think the biggest name would be the late Ben Jipcho, who had been recruited after the '68 Olympics when he was, coming to an end of his education. What was the sporting scene like in the prison service?
When I came to the prisons, I can remember there was a weekend meeting in Nyeri. By then I was staying with a friend in Langata Rongai. So I asked my friend, there's a sporting event in Nyeri, can I go? Then she told me yes, and then she sponsored me to go to Nyeri. Then I participated in the javelin. That time I didn't run. I did the javelin. I became third. And then now I drew the attention of the prison officers who were there. Ben Jipcho, he was not there that day, but there was a sports officer who was called Jimmy Wamboa. He was the adjutant of the college. So they told me, it was over the weekend, they told me on Monday, come to prison training college. That is how I ended in the prisons. And when I passed that gate, even the askaris who are at the gate, they did not understand what type of a person is this lady. So they were saluting me, and I was asking myself, why are these people saluting me? Then I went in, I got to Wambua, and that day Ben Jipcho was there. I got enlisted that very, very day. I never went back home.
How then did you get into the national team competitions and qualifying for?
It was a struggle because here you are, there's no specific coach to coach you, but you have to use your strength to make it. So by that time, you see, there were so many weekend meetings. So we would go, we would be taken. Of course, accommodation is available, transport is available. We would go. Then I started now catching up, pole being number 4, being number 3. Then I started building up. Lucky enough, by that time we didn't know anything like, doing the weight training and what have you. These things are things that I came to learn later. When this coach, Walter Abmeyer, came in and built a small gym at Nyayo Stadium there. Now he started knowing about the weight training. But before that, it was just a struggle.
In 1982, you represented the country at the Commonwealth Games in Brisbane.
Yes.
And this was in the heptathlon. 7 events in total, and you scored 4,664 points. You also participated in the javelin. You finished 9th, 40.96 meters, and in the shot put, 12.84 meters. At that point, Because it's, I mean, just after that you met with Walter. What was the field event scene for, like for you, and the 46-64 points? That was a national record.
It was a national record, but you see, combined events by that time, it was, they didn't take it so seriously, because you know, it involves so much, and it needs a lot of coaching. By then, that time, okay, Hadmaya had come to the country. We had the coaches like Hussein Ali. By that time, Hussein Ali was our coach in the heptathlon. But there was not so much that we were learning from there, because if he's a track specialist, when it comes to doing the field events, you'll find yourself being alone again.
Yes. So that means that if you've got, I mean, when you have to do the 800, which every heptathlete,
you go and join 800 people.
You join 800 people.
Yes.
If you've got to do the 200 meters,
you join the 200 meters people.
So that means that when you've got to do the high jump, you're on your own.
You are on your own.
When you've got to do the throws, you're on your own. Wow. Then Walter Abmaya at that point picked you up and said that you can get into coaching parallel to competing. What was that opportunity that came for you in 1984?
Yeah, the opportunity came in 1983 when I had we were doing these local coaching courses. And I was one of the participants.
That was under what? Kenya 3As, as it was known.
Kenya 3As. So we had level C, B, and level A. For me, I didn't go to level C. I started with level B.
What was the exemption?
I don't know. That was Walter's perception. So I went to B, and then I went to A. And then when I did my A, that is when now I was picked to go to Germany to do my diploma in Germany.
When you came back to the country, everyone started speaking about them when it comes to this. And in 1987, 15.38 meters, that is the national record. It was also an African record set at the African Games, and you won that gold.
Yes.
Until, it was an African record until 95. But what was that moment for you in August of 87?
I tell you, 87 was, I think it was my peak. It was my peak. I had just come from Germany. You know, I went to Germany twice.
Yes.
In 86, I went for my higher diploma coaching course. And then while I was there, I was still training. So I came from Germany when I was full of, you know, power. And I wanted to show that really I'm coming from Germany. I'm not the same person that left Kenya. So that one kept me going, and it really motivated me. Till the day of the competition, when that national anthem, you know, was sung, I think I was sitting next to Jesus there.
Then 4 years on, you still continued competing for Kenya at the African championships and at the African Games also. And going through this, some of the marks that you put out, let's talk about the 1991, the 1990 African Championships. The shot put 14.26 meters and the discus throw at 45.04.
Yes. You know, it turned out that by that time, Kenya had no good throwers. And the likes of Malit, because I found them in the field, they were now becoming old. Looking right, left, there was nobody. So I had to do my best to keep that fire burning. So my participation in the discus and the shot put, because of course I had an injury, that's why I pulled from the javelin. But the javelin I was also good, because I had a 51 meters by that time. 1976, I broke the African record in javelin. Yeah, the competition was held in Zanzibar. But later on, my hand, you know, my arm started giving me problems, so I pulled away from it. So I concentrated much on shot put and discus.
That record that she speaks about, 15.83, still stands. And, you know, I also want to come up to something else, is that you got into coaching, and you've coached not just in Kenya, but in Malawi. What were your experiences when you went to Lilongwe, Blantyre, about the athletic scene? Because from the Kenyan perspective, You mentioned Malawi, they would know about the football team and a club known as Butter Bullets.
Yeah, when I went to Malawi in the year 2002, when we were preparing for the Commonwealth Games in Manchester. That is when they asked the NOC, Kenya, to give them a coach. Then I was taken there. When I went to Malawi, their perception was not, good to me, because they were asking themselves, why did they give us a woman? We thought they would have given us those, men, those big coaches, those big names. But I just told them jokingly, you people wait and you'll see.
They forgot they were dealing with a...
They forgot that
Askari.
Yes, but the secretary who was there, Mr. Kambale, was very understanding. So I had a chat with him. I said, I have done coaching. I know what to do. I know Malawi, you don't have top athletes. Malawi in athletics, you are down. But give me a chance. I want to show you something. So he was very supportive. Then now I took off. When I went to Malawi, their records were very low, very, very low. And there were very few athletes. One thing in Malawi, they don't have competitions like the ones we have here in Kenya. The weekend meetings, the preparation like the cross country. So I thought I was going to stay there longer to introduce, these training phases to them.
Yes.
But now it was a short period we were going to the Commonwealth Games. So I had to start first by concentrating on the Commonwealth Games. So I asked them to organize some few competitions so that I can select. So I ended up having about five athletes whom I took to
Manchester.
To Manchester.
Now, there's one challenge that I would like to throw to you as a coach and as somebody who's broken the records. And I'll give some names that are very familiar to you. Their national long jump record, Ruth Onsarigo, 6.39 meters from the 23rd of December 1989. Your record, 15.83 meters in the shot put, still held by you, and at actually at altitude 15.6 meters from 27th of June 1987. 15.6. Then you've got Joyce Kiume, the discus throw, 49.68 meters from 1999. Caroline Koller holds the national record in the heptathlon, 5,407 from 1994. How do you get women into this field events and get them competitive? Because, like they say, records are there to be broken.
Of course, yes. Waume, in Kenya, or I don't know whether it is in Africa, but in other countries, developed countries, they have no problem. But in Kenya, we have a problem. That once a girl, comes out of school, the first thing that girl will look for is a husband.
That is changing now.
Now, okay, if that lady is fortunate to be spotted during the school times, she will be employed in the prisons, in the armed forces, and in police and other institutions. But sports comes from the heart.
Yes.
It is very painful to train. It comes from the heart. If you cannot bear the pain of training, tell you, my friend, you are going nowhere. So you find these girls, when they are enlisted, once they get a job and they get a pay slip, that is where the problem starts. Okay, they train. At the end of the day, maybe she becomes a number 3, then sometimes pride starts taking course. And also there are those beautiful men outside there who know how to spot them. The next thing is pregnancy, and it is marriage. After marriage, some of us, we don't know how to take care of us after marriage. Because after marriage, sports can still be very good for you. And you can come out to be very active.
You're an example.
Yes, I'm an example.
We know, we can mention many of them. I mean, even today, the ones who are here currently, Faith Kipyegon, Vivian Cheruiyot, Catherine Dereba.
Yes, after marriage, you come out very strong. Because you can now manage yourself.
Yes.
Yes, but you see, that is why you see these records are hanging there. Because they come up, but they cannot move on.
So if I was to ask oddly, will Priscilla Tabunda break Kola's record anytime soon?
If she can discipline herself and dedicate herself to training. Joyce Kiwume's record was broken sometimes back in Mombasa. We have a lady, Rosemary Rakamba. She threw a 53 in Mombasa.
Yes.
But for one reason or the other, when we put that forward, AKE did not take any interest. But it was broken.
Was the discus weight correct?
Very correct. Very correct. We were there in Mombasa. I was an official. I took the discus. I went and weighed it.
So that means the opportunities are there and the records can be broken.
The records can be broken. The records can be broken.
Now, given what you have said here, briefly, I mean straightforward, speaking to the camera that's directly out there,
yes.
Speak to the young girls out there who are in the field events. We've seen them at the under-18 championships in 2017 and the under-20 championships in from 2017 and also last year's under-20 championships. Speak to them and tell them that the opportunities are there for them to be champions just like you.
Thank you very much for that opportunity. I would like to tell my fellow female athletes, especially, that the opportunities are there and they can become champions. But self-discipline, hard training, because there's that saying of train hard, you win easy. So it is that training that will make them to become champions. And also for the coaches to encourage. If I'm a coach and there is an area where I'm not, familiar with, go to another coach who is familiar and ask for assistance. Because coaching is like a roundabout. You see? Don't stick, make the athletes stick to you when you know very well that you are not providing the right techniques. Seek for assistance. That is how we can help these athletes. But the records are there to be broken.
You've had it from Elizabeth Olaba. She holds the national record in the shot put to this day, all the way from 1987, 15.6 meters, and it's there to be broken. You've had it from her. A living legend, and she's still coaching and encouraging young athletes. It's been a pleasure being with you on this segment. My name is Daniel Wahome. Keep it KBC Channel 1.
Thank you.
Stay disciplined, train hard, win easy. That is the message we have heard from the national record holder in the women's shot put, Elizabeth Olaba. She has held a record of 15 meters, 60 centimeters since 1987. To the young female athletes out there, that record is in your hands. Thank you, Daniel, for the interview. And on a lighter note, from our studios, from me, Fayaz, Qureshi, producer Helen, director Amos Hampston, and the entire news desk, we would like to wish our colleague Cynthia Nyamai a very, very happy birthday. And that's all from our newsroom. Join us next week at 9 p.m. for the Legends Edition, only on KBC Channel 1. Our sign language interpreter for tonight was Byron Abuli. I am Fayaz Qureshi. Have a good night.